feel like it's been forever since we've seen one another. But I thought since we were at all home, and I know that we're all thinking about math, but I thought we could do a little bit of geometry review. So to start off today, we're going to look at three triangles, and you'll notice that all three of these triangles are identical triangles. Now, the first thing I'm going to, oh, and they're also, and we'll talk more about this later, but they're all acute triangles because they have three acute angles, and they're scalene triangles because all three sides are different. Now, to start off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark an angle in each triangle. And I'm going to mark a different angle in each triangle. So you notice in the left triangle, I mark that first angle. In the middle triangle, I'll mark that middle angle. And on the right triangle, I'm going to mark the angle all the way to the right. Now, the interesting thing about triangles is they all have a couple of things in common. First off, and the most obvious, is that in a triangle, it has three angles, three sides. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our three angles here. So there's angle one, there's angle two, and there's angle three. Now, what we know is that since these three triangles are identical, these make up the three angles of a triangle. And we can prove that by putting them all on one triangle here. And you'll notice that it fits. So these are my three angles of that triangle. And you'll notice they'll fit all three of those triangles. Now, one cool thing we can do is we can actually take these three angles and we can put them together. And you're going to notice something cool that happens. If you take the three angles of a triangle, maybe, there we go. Let's turn this one around. Be easier to see. Maybe enough. If we take these three angles of a triangle and put them together, you'll notice that they fit perfectly together and they make, let me get my pen back over here. They make, if we put them perfectly together, a straight angle. Now remember, a straight angle is 180 degrees. Now, one thing we know about a triangle is the three angles within a triangle always have to add together to be 180 degrees. So if we said this is angle A, angle B, and angle C, we know that A plus B plus C must equal 180 degrees. That is amazing. That's a really cool thing about a triangle. Now, once we know that's true for every single triangle, we can start to identify triangles by their types. So let's look at some different types of triangles here. So first off, we have equilateral triangles, and you notice the markings that I have on here are going to help a little bit. Equilateral triangles are triangles where all three sides are equal and all the angles are equal. Now you'll notice I put one mark on each side of the equilateral triangles. That's to show those sides are the same, and the one mark in the angles is to show the angles are the same. Now, one cool thing about equilateral triangles is that because we know that all the angles together make 180 degrees and all of these angles are the same, equilateral triangles have to have angles that are each 60 degrees because 60 times 3 is 180. And remember, we just said that all the angles of a triangle together make a straight angle, and that's always true for any triangle. Our second type of triangle is an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle is a triangle where two sides are the same and two angles are the same. Notice each side has one marking, each of those angles has one marking, and then the other side and other angles has a different number of markings. That's because that's a different side. Our third type of triangle is a scalene triangle. A scalene triangle is a triangle where no sides and no angles are equal. Now you'll notice this particular scalene triangle has one mark on one side, two marks on a second, three marks on a third, and the same with the angles. That's because all the angles are different, all of the sides are different. Now the second set of triangles that we have deal more with the angles, and they're a little more obvious in what they are. A right triangle is a triangle that has exactly one right angle. Something I didn't mention before, every single triangle has at least two acute angles. So if it's a right triangle, you'll notice it has one right angle, and then these two angles are acute angles. An acute triangle is a triangle that has all three angles that are acute. three acute angles. And it could be like an example would be the equilateral triangle that we talked about. And an obtuse triangle has that one obtuse angle, but remember, it's still going to have two acute angles. One thing we can say about triangles is that every triangle can be identified in two different ways. One way would be an angle type, which is acute, obtuse, or right. And another way would be about the sides. So a scalene, equilateral, or isosceles. Every triangle is going to have two names. Now, what I'd like for you to do, and I added this along, and we did talk about this in class, I want you to take a look at these angles, these triangles, and I'm going to attach this. And I want you to think, are these triangles, how can we identify them? And what are two names that I can identify each of these triangles as? So I want you to give that a shot with identifying triangles. And let's see if you can do that. See you guys later.